What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. I know I've been gone for, only God knows how long, 2.5, 3.5 months, probably 4 months at this point, but I'm officially back to filming videos. I'm back to filming videos for all you guys, and I'm back to doing all this stuff, content creation, doing really dumb and stupid challenges, reacting to stuff. I'm back to it. For today's video, I thought for my big comeback for the YouTube, I thought today I'd go back and take a look at some of my greatest moments from my channel. I went back to my channel, I already found the videos, I found a bunch of great videos, some of the best, cream of the crop, the meat and potatoes of my channel, and I put it all together in one big compilation video, and I'm going to show it to you guys right now. So, if you guys go on to enjoy today's video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Let's do it. Ooh, Apple, hallelujah, Apple's done it. Today is a big day. It's a very, very big day. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have the iPhone 11 from Apple finally being announced and released. Okay, I can't even think that okay, this is so exciting because I can't even think about how much hype that this is, because okay, so this looks insane. So obviously today, well, let's just get into it. So obviously today we are going to be doing our initial honest reaction to the Apple iPhone 11 announcement. So this was actually live streamed a few hours back, and hey, I thought I was still in school, but when I was in Japanese class I got the notification, and I was like, I gotta get home, I gotta do something with this video. And so obviously right now we are going to be doing our honest reaction to the new Apple iPhone 11. So if you guys are new here, be sure and gently hit that subscribe button and become part of my family. And hit the like button if you guys are new here, obviously. I'd love to have you here on the channel. We do stuff around, just check my description. We do stuff, all that stuff. Turn on bell notifications. And without further ado, let's go. Alrighty, let's see what Apple's got for us today, boys. Ooh, okay. Camera looks cool. Camera does look, oh my gosh, that looks beautiful. All right. Okay, so it looks like it's got like a double camera. That looks awesome. Oh no. Wait, so is it dual cameras? Okay, so it's got like a dual camera, ultra wide photos. All right, ultra wide photos. It's waterproof. Oh my gosh, what? Wow. Oh no, what's water resistant up to 2 minutes? Wow. Okay. Highest quality video. Wow. Slow-mo selfies. What? Face ID. It's faster. Okay. Oh my gosh, this looks so awesome. Oh, I can't open it. Ooh. All right. Wow. Okay, so it's very old. It's Ultra HD. That's for sure. Night mode? What? Is that the first thing in an iPhone? I think that's the first time they've implemented that into an iPhone. Oh my gosh, wow. That camera looks awesome though. That camera does look very cool. All day battery life. Oh my gosh. What? iPhone 11. Oh my gosh. Wow. Oh my gosh, alright. Now that we've seen the trailer, let's have a little discussion about the iPhone 11. I think the first thing that comes to most people's minds when they think about the iPhone 11 now is probably the new 3. Literally, they put 3 cameras in an iPhone. Like, how did they do? How did Apple put 3 cameras into an iPhone? I mean, that's just crazy to think about to this day, because that's something that probably should have been implemented with the iPhone 10 or the iPhone 10R or the iPhone 10s. Speaking of that, hold up 1 second. See, some of you guys may already know, but yes, I do have the iPhone 10, and this is a great phone, do not get me wrong, but that looks sick. Okay, so if you have the iPhone 10, if you have the iPhone 8, 7, 6, 5, don't be ashamed of people getting the iPhone 11 because, hey, I'm not gonna get this anytime soon. 1, because I'm not rich, and 2, because it looks cool, but it just looks kind of like an upgraded iPhone 10, and the iPhone 10 is already a great camera. It's, oh my Jesus. So, as I was saying, the iPhone 10 is already a great phone. It's got a great camera, great everything about it. It's just, I love the iPhone 10. It's my favorite iPhone so far. And trust me, I've had many phones in the past. I've broken many, I've dropped many. I had one that flew out of I lost one in an airplane once. Yeah, that wasn't fun. Anyway, I just think the iPhone's great, and I think the iPhone 11 is going to be even greater than the iPhone 10, but I think that Apple is just going to put all of their creativity, all of their knowledge of making phones in the past straight into this iPhone, because I feel like kind of with the new camera feature, people who don't have good cameras yet, don't have good webcams, mics, or anything, can just buy an iPhone 11 and use that to film, edit, vlog, and everything. And that's what I use. I mean, I'm using my phone right now to film and edit right now. That's what I use for 99.9% of my videos. So don't be ashamed if you don't have the newest phone or the newest quality of a phone, because that's nothing to be ashamed about. Because yeah, some people are going to be getting this phone on release date, but that doesn't mean that you should be over in the corner whining and crying about it, because like I said, I have already one of the greatest Apple iPhones ever, the iPhone 10, so I'm not over here in the corner whining or crying about how, oh, I don't have the newest iPhone or anything. If you look at top YouTubers, they don't have an iPhone 10, they don't have an iPhone 11 because it's not even out yet, but they don't have that kind of phone because they don't want to spend their money on basically just an upgraded version on the iPhone 10. That's basically what this is going to be, but it looks insane. It does look very good. It looks like a quality iPhone. So yeah, so I think the first thing that comes to people's minds when they think about the iPhone 11, I think is going to be mainly the new 3 cameras. So Apple, yes, has implemented 3 cameras into an iPhone. I still think that that's insane, because actually before I watched this, I got a notification at my high school on my phone, and I got actually in trouble for it in class because my thing was on. So I got a notification saying that Apple did this and everything, did that with the new iPhone and everything. I thought that that's so cool, and I was thinking about that on the way home. I was thinking about that for the rest of the day, and I just think it's so cool how Apple is able to do things like that in this day and age and generation. Because I mean, if you think about it, back in my generation, I'm 14 years old. What do you mean? So back in my day or generation, when the iPhone 5 and 4 and 6 was relevant, we didn't have 3 cameras. We didn't have 2 cameras. All we had was one single freaking camera. And it was pretty bad back then, I'm not gonna lie. But with today's day and age, and with kids growing up and everything, they actually have good quality iPhones that can be used to benefit their own personal life. Like with me, as I said, I use my phone to edit and film all of my videos. And I think for you guys out there who are just like me and who use their phones to film and edit and everything, I think that that's okay, and you shouldn't be ashamed of doing that, because that's awesome. I think that's super cool, because I do that, and look where it's got me, over 170 subscribers with doing this, and I feel great and everything. I just think that that's so cool how Apple is able to take one of their phones and kind of cram everything into it that the fans have wanted for so long. Like a 3 camera, are you serious? 3 cameras is still insane, because that's ultra wide HD and 4K. I think that that's super cool, because as I said, it can be used to your advantage in everything. And I think with people who have the iPhone 10 right now, they're probably like, oh, I gotta go get this phone on launch date. Oh, I gotta do this and do that. No, you don't have to, because hey, I don't think I'm gonna ever be getting this phone anytime soon, until I'm probably around 15 years old. But that doesn't mean that you'll never be getting it, because hey, when the iPhone 12 comes out, you might get the iPhone 11. It's just the way of life and everything. And hey, I'm thinking about doing something with this phone and then getting the new phone. And that's not because just to have like the newest phone. That's basically just because I like technology. I like most things about technology and how it works and everything. That's why I'm taking computer literacy class in high school. That's just how life works. That's just how everything works in this day and age and generation. So as I said, if you don't have the newest phone right now, which is currently the iPhone 10 that's not out yet, don't be ashamed. Don't be like, hey, I gotta go get the newest phone right now, waste $1,000, because you don't have to. You can just stick with the phone you have, and hey, who knows? You may come up with some cash. You may mow the lawn, do some chores around the house, help your mom out, help your dad out, and everything. And hey, you may oversee a couple $1,000, and hey, you might get the iPhone. You could ask for it for Christmas, for your birthday, anything. So yeah, that has been my official reaction and review on the new iPhone 11. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, as always, be sure Super Smash Bros. That like button in the bottom left, and subscribe to the bottom right, which is down there, and the like button's right there. And comment what you're excited for the iPhone 11. I think it's just super cool how this is coming out so soon. And yeah, that's gonna have to wrap it up for today's video, but hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, do that, all that YouTuber stuff, casual stuff. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. What's up everyone, I'm MrCloud, and today you're watching my ranking video on ranking every single Nintendo system. If you guys do enjoy today's video, be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe down below so I know that you guys want more rankings and top 10 videos. And without further ado, let's go. Few would actually recognize the Virtual Boy as a Nintendo creation, and even fewer actually owned the odd console. The Virtual Boy was designed to use stereoscopic 3D to create an early form of virtual reality gaming, but unfortunately failed to create a convincing enough experience for there to be much of an audience. Nintendo was actually very quick to fold on the console, actually discontinuing the Virtual Boy within a year of its launch in 1995, with only 22 games ever released for the system. And there's really no arguing that this is the least impressive of Nintendo's video game consoles ever. And coming in at our number 12 spot, we have the Game Boy Color. And as the name might suggest, the Game Boy Color was Nintendo's first handheld to feature a colored screen. The Game Boy Color actually arrived nearly a decade after the original Game Boy, providing not only a hardware upgrade for the system and for the more demanding games of the late 90s, but however, the system mostly served as a stopgap until the release of the next generation Game Boy Advance in 2001. The Game Boy Color still saw more than 500 releases in that 3-year span. Though many of those games were still playable on the original Game Boy, the Color could also play classic Game Boy games and would give them a big color scheme to highlight their visuals. Putting aside the huge flop that was the Virtual Boy, the Wii U is Nintendo's least popular video game console ever. I mean, come on, confusing branding combined with technology that was only one step up from the massively popular Nintendo Wii hurt the Wii U at release. It was quickly outmatched by the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 when they both launched the following year. The Wii U's most innovative feature, of course, was the introduction of a large tablet that could actually somewhat be used as a secondary screen during gameplay or mirror the image of the television. With Nintendo's emphasis on family-focused gaming, the Wii U tablet was designed to allow children to play on the smaller screen while their families were using the living room television. However, when the tablet essentially turns into a brick when you walk out of range of the console, it makes it very limited indeed. The added requirement of developing games with the tablet in mind, and also Nintendo's lackluster online gaming infrastructure, led to a lack of games from third-party developers as well. The Nintendo 64 helped video games take the giant leap to 3D with a significant upgrade in power compared to its predecessor, the Super Nintendo. Nintendo titles like Super Mario 64 and The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time defined a generation of 3D adventure games, while the N64 exclusive shooters like Turok Dinosaur Hunter, GoldenEye 07, and Perfect Dark were some of the best games in the entire genre. The N64 did indeed have its drawbacks though. The console has a much smaller library
library of memorable games than Nintendo's other classic consoles, and well, sadly, the graphics that once looked so impressive on the N64 haven't aged particularly well. The Nintendo 64 controller also helped to make analog sticks a new standard for future consoles, but the physical design of the controller is somewhat awkward by any modern standard. The Game Boy Advance was a strong follow-up to the Game Boy Color, significant improvement in handheld hardware. The 32-bit Game Boy Advance was strong enough to handle games that were once exclusive to home consoles, letting players take their favorite classics on the road. This also gave game developers a new chance to revisit some of the most popular genres of the 90s for a brand new audience. The GBA was fully backwards compatible with prior Game Boy games too, rewarding customers who were loyal to the family of handhelds. There weren't too many negatives to the Game Boy Advance that I can recall of when I used to play it, but when placed beside Nintendo's other home consoles and handhelds, the handheld didn't push too many boundaries. And some of the best GBA games were ultimately better executed on other home platforms. The legacy of the Nintendo GameCube is defined by some of its greatest games. Some, like Resident Evil 4, started as exclusives before making their way to future consoles, while others, like Mario Kart Double Dash, remain cult favorites to this day. The console itself wasn't particularly remarkable in terms of technology, but it did well in a competitive console generation that also included the PlayStation 2 and the original Xbox. The success of Super Smash Bros. Melee as a grassroots esports game lengthened the life of the GameCube, and its controller is still preferred by high-level Smash Bros. Players to this day. Nintendo released a new line of GameCube controllers in 2014 for the launch of Super Smash Bros. For Wii U, and the same controller can still be used to play the newest game in the series, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate on the Nintendo Switch. The Nintendo Wii had a massive cultural impact that extends beyond video games, inspiring a very new level of interactive gameplay with its motion controls. The Wii's simple pointing and touch controls helped it find a more casual audience than competitive players, and also innovative games like Wii Fit showed that the console could be used for fitness and physical therapy. The Wii remains Nintendo's best-selling home video game console with more than 100 million units sold worldwide. However, the Wii does not have many memorable games of its own, and tons of lower-level quality titles ended up on the Wii in an attempt to capitalize on the casual audience. Console did have the benefit of backwards compatibility though, meaning that some of the better games from the GameCube era still had a home on the Wii. The main hardware innovation on the Nintendo 3DS was of course its 3D screen, which offers stereoscopic 3D images without special glasses or any extra accessories. However, the 3D features ultimately became one of the more forgettable parts of the console, only used by a handful of games to any meaningful effect. The Nintendo 3DS has succeeded as an upgraded version from the original DS, complete with backwards compatibility. The system is the first Nintendo handheld to actually utilize its digital content, with a digital shop that proved more worthwhile than the ones on the Wii or the Wii U. The console also made notable improvements to the DS's online functionality and overall data management system. With the upgraded hardware of the 3DS, developers have been able to make games specifically for the portable platform with few compromises. While the technology of the 3DS was not as groundbreaking as the original DS at its release, Nintendo's repeated revisions of the console have made it one of their most impressive. The second screen and touch controls of the original Nintendo DS helped bring about a new era in handheld gaming. Games designed for lower touchscreen gave the console a great casual appeal, while ambitious developers worked to create more engaging games that actually made use of both of the touchscreens. As a result, the DS enjoyed a wide variety library of games that were both unique and/or impressive, offering experiences that couldn't be matched on a regular home console or even the PlayStation Portable, which on paper was a way more powerful console. The Nintendo DS was Nintendo's very first handheld console with the horsepower to actually run 3D titles, allowing for ports from the Nintendo 64 and some original 3D titles. The original model DS was also backwards compatible with the Game Boy, giving the console a extended catalog with a number of classics dating all the way back to the Super Nintendo. While the Nintendo Switch is still a very young console, it has succeeded in blending some of the best of Nintendo's handheld and console offerings into a single package. In portable mode, the Switch functions like a way more powerful Game Boy but with a touchscreen, but the controls can also be separated from the screen for a two-player experience. When at home, a docked Switch functions as a modern TV game console. With the Switch, Nintendo has also managed to correct some of the online infrastructure issues that plagued prior Nintendo consoles. The eShop feels more functional than ever on the Nintendo Switch, and the wide variety of digital titles addresses the problems the Wii and the Wii U faced with third-party support. And even though it's been about 2 years since the console itself launched, the Switch has already had its fair share of amazing games, including The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey. If the Switch keeps up a healthy pace of growth and developers continue to support it, it could slowly climb this list and become Nintendo's best home console. Whereas the Nintendo Entertainment System helped bring video games into homes across the world, the Game Boy made it possible to play just about anywhere. And like the Nintendo Entertainment System before it, the Game Boy created a baseline for every Nintendo handheld console that would eventually follow it. The basic sturdy design, reliable functionality, and a huge library of Game Boy games helped the basic hardware stand on its own for nearly 1 decade. Despite more technicality, advanced competition from handhelds like Sega's Game Gear, for a time Nintendo's console was literally synonymous with just about any portable gaming console, with just about any handheld gaming device being quickly known as the Game Boy. And for a while, it was the best and, well, only way to play the original Tetris. While the black and white graphics of the Game Boy may not appeal to a modern gamer, the console helped establish a market for portable gaming that has, well, benefited the industry as a whole. The impact of the original Nintendo Entertainment System cannot be understated. While arcades helped popularize video games as a hobby, the NES was the console that really convinced the world that it was possible to bring their games home and start building a library. Furthermore, with developers no longer limited to building games on a pay-to-play arcade model, NES games were built with more depth and replay value in mind. Some of the most popular franchises in video game history actually got their start on the NES, from Nintendo's own Super Mario Bros. And Metroid to third-party series like Castlevania and Final Fantasy. The Nintendo Entertainment System became the prototype for every gaming console moving forward, and helped make video games as a whole a household hot commodity. The Super Nintendo Entertainment System is Nintendo's definitive console that helped solidify the company at the center of the video game industry. In the terms of its hardware, the Super Nintendo made meaningful improvement on every aspect from the original NES. From a sleeker controller with a lot more buttons to game carts with many times more storage space for some bigger games. The games improved as well, as many of the basic games that found their roots on the NES arrived on the Super Nintendo with fully polished sequels that made a lot more sense of use of full additional processing power. Despite considerable competition from the Sega Genesis, the Super Nintendo delivered dozens of unforgettable titles that still stand the test of time today and deserves the #1 spot on this list.
Hey, chick.
What is this? Whoa! It's Mario in the city?
Super Mario Odyssey is the second highest selling Nintendo Switch video game, with about 14 million sales. An overwhelming number of critics gave the game spectacular reviews. Much of the game's success, though, is owed to its level designs that are far less linear than its predecessors. Being able to jump from map to map through hidden paintings works somewhat well in Super Mario Odyssey. It goes without saying that Super Mario Odyssey has some incredible map designs. Based on the replayability, level design, and the wow factor, I've created a list ranking the best Super Mario Odyssey maps. So, this is ranking the 10 most awesome Super Mario Odyssey kingdoms. Number 10, the Wooded Kingdom. One of Super Mario Odyssey's more challenging levels appears as early on in the game as in the 4th kingdom. Merely trying to collect enough moons to advance you to the next kingdom in the game should be pretty easy for most people, but gathering all of the moons in the Wooded Kingdom has proven to be a pretty tricky challenge. The fact that the Wooded Kingdom actually allows you to unlock Mario's Safari outfit makes it a bit worthwhile for most players. The artwork is excellent, but platforming proves to be a bit of a challenge in the Wooded Kingdom. 9. The Lost Kingdom. Super Mario Odyssey's Lost Kingdom has a foreign jungle atmosphere that is somehow from planet Earth. The atmosphere of the Lost Kingdom is unlike anything we've seen in a Super Mario game before, and it kinda seems Martian-like. This map is both immersive and mysterious. You'll have to watch out for the dangerous slime that surrounds the Lost Kingdom. The difficulty of the Lost Kingdom is somewhat average, but you won't take too long to collect some of the power moons, because most of them are more challenging ones because they are hidden well within the level. 8. The Seaside Kingdom. Few games are based underwater because of tedious gameplay and camera issues, but Super Mario Odyssey added one map which requires players to swim underwater. Concerning past games such as Super Mario 64, Super Mario Odyssey significantly improves swimming by adding characters called Nature's Fire Hoses. Mario is able to control Nature's Fire Hoses with the cap throw technique, which allows him to quickly travel between distant locations. Being able to walk across the beach during a peaceful sunset and climbing various platforms make the Seaside Kingdom a fantastic level in Super Mario Odyssey. 7. Ruined Kingdom. The Ruined Kingdom is a dark level to visit. It's not the most massive level as there are only 5 moons in the Ruined Kingdom, but for what it's worth, a 2-dimensional Mario puzzle works well in the map. Naturally, it's necessary to complete the 2-dimensional puzzle to obtain one of the kingdom's moons, but a dark mist spreads across Crumbledon, making the Ruined Kingdom feel somewhat grave-like. The Nintendo Switch showcases its power with this beautifully dreary map. In addition to being possibly the most miniature map in all of Super Mario Odyssey, the Ruined Kingdom is the location for one of the game's most wild boss fights. Number 6. The Mushroom Kingdom. Rolling green hills and the castle from Mario's first 3D adventure game can be found in the Mushroom Kingdom. Due to the size of the map though, it ranks a bit lower on this list, but that doesn't mean that it isn't every bit as fun as other Super Mario Odyssey maps. Being able to visit Peach's castle alone makes the Mushroom Kingdom relevant. The Mushroom Kingdom comes as a reward for saving Princess Peach from Bowser, and thus beating the game. The numerous paintings inside of the Mushroom Kingdom add to its size. It is possibly the best map to play the Luigi's Balloon World minigame as well. Number 5. Bowser's Kingdom. While most Mario games use a European version type for Bowser's Castle, Super Mario Odyssey employs a Japanese-style-like temple that is a pretty nice contrast from some of the other levels. Instead of pits of lava like most would expect coming from Bowser's Castle, Super Mario Odyssey's version of this uses pits of poison that ends the life of Mario the moment that he touches it. Off to a pretty great start. Bowser's Castle provides a nice build-up for the final fight with Bowser. It's easy to say that Bowser's Kingdom is honestly one of Super Mario Odyssey's most enjoyable maps. Number 4. The Sand Kingdom. When we think of Toast Arena in the Sand Kingdom, we think of maps like the Shifting Sandland from Super Mario 64. The weather is scorching, but you won't mind while you're rolling through the deserts of the Sand Kingdom. According to Polygon.com, the Sand Kingdom contains over 89 whole power moons. The fact that you can also purchase a Mexican sombrero and poncho is pretty cool too, but never has a desert level looked as impressively vast in a Super Mario game. You'll have to master a statue's revealing glasses to conquer this map. Number 3. The Cascade Kingdom. One of the first maps that you encounter in the game lets you know why Super Mario Odyssey is different than its predecessors. Being able to control a freaking Tyrannosaurus in the first 5 minutes of the game shows you why Super Mario Odyssey is so special, making the Cascade Kingdom stand out very well. The map is centered around one giant waterfall, and in the background, several waterfalls surround the map. It's astonishing how much perfect detail went into this map's background. The Cascade Kingdom is one of the most spectacular kingdoms in all of Super Mario Odyssey. Number 2. The Moon Kingdom. In outer space, nobody can hear your screams. Okay, maybe Nintendo didn't create the most realistic moon level, but it is one of the most enjoyable. In fact, the low gravity and the hard to reach moons on the moon make the Moon Kingdom a fun place to explore. Wow, was that a tongue twister? The fact that you can wear a spacesuit on the level makes it an out of this world map, and near the far side of the Moon Kingdom is a giant church, and after beating all of the story missions, one can find Peach at the top of the church for a free power moon. And I'm sure you all know what number 1 is, so let's continue. And number 1 is the Metro Kingdom. Widely regarded as Nintendo's Gem Kingdom, the Metro Kingdom is the most awesome map in all of Super Mario Odyssey. Bouncing off of taxis, climbing buildings, moving to music, and setting off fire hydrants has never been so fun. If you haven't bought Super Mario Odyssey yet, you are missing out on one of the greatest video game platformers of our time. Super Mario Odyssey's Metro Kingdom is a perfect microcosm. Buy this game now and you won't regret one of the best decisions that you've ever made. Thank you guys so much for watching my top 10 Super Mario Odyssey Kingdoms. Be sure to like and subscribe and share with your friends and family, and I'll see you guys next week. Well, what do you know, Nintendo actually listened to the community, and boy, was The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild successful. Breath of the Wild is undoubtedly one of, or dare I say it, the best Nintendo Switch game. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild took what every past Zelda game did and multiplied it by 10. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild was also a launch title for the Nintendo Switch, and considering how successful the Switch was, Breath of the Wild was going to be a surefire success. As the 8th installment in the Zelda franchise, it had a lot of duties to uphold, and to our surprise, Nintendo managed to still maintain the Zelda charm while still being a classic open-world adventure game. The development process for The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is very interesting, as in the earliest traces of this game's development can be traced all the way back to the year 2011, really starting development immediately after the release of The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. Aonuma received various comments saying that people wish to see a more interconnected map to explore locations between gameplay areas. In 2013, however, Nintendo stepped away from the non-linearity and released The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds for the 3DS, and according to Aonuma, the Breath of the Wild development team wanted to re-envision the conventions of Zelda. At the 2014 Electronic Entertainment Expo, however, Aonuma stated that he planned to redesign dungeons and puzzles, two of the series' main gameplay elements. And considering the fact that at the time of development for The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Nintendo had never had proper first-hand experience with developing an open-world adventure game, they took inspiration from the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, for example. Prior to the full development for The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, the team developed a playable 2D prototype that was similar to the NES Zelda with dungeons and puzzles. The final game uses a modified version of the Havok physics engine. Aonuma pronounced the physics engine in Breath of the Wild was a major development in the Zelda franchise, saying that it underpins everything in the world and can make things act in logistic and realistic ways. This also meant that the developers gave the player more of a variety of options when approached by a problem, solving it with a somewhat creative solution. The main concept for The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild was to utilize the touchscreen features on the Nintendo Wii U system. The features were ultimately removed, however, when The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild announced its debut coming to the Nintendo Switch in March of 2017. The Wii U affected the resolution and animation of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. The Nintendo Switch version performs much better when docked to a television, but when undocked, the Switch and Wii U run at the same resolution. Aonuma also stated that the landscape in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild takes its inspiration from certain locations surrounding Kyoto in Japan, such as the dueling peaks, just to name one. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild was the first game in the Zelda franchise to introduce voice-acted cutscenes, and even though in the main base game, Link remains a silent protagonist, Aonuma was stunned the first time that he heard the voice acting, and he wanted to leave the same impression on the player. Coinciding with the game's launch in Taiwan and South Korea, Nintendo has added a patch as early as 2018, allowing players to use those languages in the Nintendo Switch version. Aonuma originally teased Breath of the Wild at the 2013 E3 Nintendo Direct. The following year, Nintendo showed off other features like the HD high-resolution graphics, just to name one. Originally planned for release in September of 2015, the game was unfortunately delayed, however, and was not shown at 2016's E3 Nintendo press conference. Series creator Shigeru Miyamoto reaffirmed that the brand new Zelda game would still be launching on the Nintendo Wii U, despite Nintendo's development on their brand new system, the Nintendo Switch. The game was yet again delayed in April of 2016 due to problems with its physics engine. There was an exclusive demo that was shown off to attendees at E3 2016, where the main subtitle for the game was also announced, Breath of the Wild. At a Nintendo 2017 presentation all about debuting the Nintendo Switch, a trailer was shown off announcing that the game would be a launch title for the system. And then finally, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild was officially worldwide released March 3rd for the Nintendo Switch and Wii U systems. The Nintendo Switch version came bundled with a special edition and a master edition that came with the Sheikah coin, a Calamity Ganon tapestry with the world map, a soundtrack CD, and a themed carrying case. The master edition bundle also included a figurine that was based on the Master Sword. The plot of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is considerably not only one of the most interesting in the entire Zelda franchise, but probably the most interesting in any Nintendo Switch game that's come out in a while. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild takes place at the end of the Zelda timeline in the Kingdom of Hyrule, 10,000 years after the arrival of Calamity Ganon, who was ultimately defeated by the Princess of Hyrule. 9.9 thousand years later, the Kingdom of Hyrule turned into a medieval state. The Hyruleans sensed the return of Calamity Ganon, therefore excavating the four divine beasts of Hyrule. The four champions of Hyrule, Daruk, warrior of the mountains, Mipha, princess of the aquatic, Revali, archer of the bird-like, and Urbosa, queen of the dwelling desert, assembled to pilot the divine beasts. While Link and Zelda were fighting Ganon, Calamity Ganon unfortunately possessed all of the divine beasts and the guardians, taking the lives of all of the Hyruleans and the four champions of Hyrule. The castle was ultimately destroyed, and Link was unfortunately fatally wounded. Princess Zelda takes Link's body to the Shrine of Resurrection in order to be resurrected in the coming 100 years. 100 years after all of this happens, Link awakens in the Shrine of Resurrection. He meets an old man who soon reveals himself to be the late Spirit King of Hyrule. He soon pleads for Link to travel across Hyrule in order for him to defeat Calamity Ganon and save Hyrule from shambles. Link travels across the Kingdom of Hyrule, returning to locations of his past and regaining his memories. With the help of the Hyruleans and the four spirits of the Divine Beast and reobtaining the Master Sword from the Kokiri Forest, Link returns to Hyrule Castle to ultimately defeat Calamity Ganon once and for all. How The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is played and the mechanics that the game has is really interesting out of all of the Zelda games. Breath of the Wild is an open-world adventure game that encourages non-linear gameplay, allowing the player to freely explore the world of Hyrule, and also allowing players to find problems naturally and then solving it with a creative solution. Playing as Link, players can perform certain actions such as running, climbing, swimming, and gliding with a paraglider. Link can also collect environmental items as well, such as food, weapons, shields, and other resources. Unlike past Zelda games, weapons and shields degrade over time. Many items also have multiple uses as well, from hunting to fishing to gathering natural resources. Players can also cook foods to create meals that obtain certain stats. Players can also mix other foods with each other to create interesting elixirs for some interesting combinations. In combat, players have the ability to lock onto a specific target for more precise attacks. These actions, however, require specific button combinations to perform key moves, making it harder to perform certain actions. Besides the exploration aspect of the game, scattered all across the map are shrines and Sheikah towers. The player can enter these locations to obtain specific rewards. Entering a shrine or a Sheikah tower, you are granted the ability to fast travel to that location at any given moment. Shrines contain battles with robots, and after defeating the main objective, whether it be a tutorial on how to perform key moves or just a standard battle, you'll gain a Spirit Orb. Spirit Orbs can be traded to fairy goddess statues that are spread all across Hyrule. You can trade 4 orbs for stamina or for a certain amount of hearts. Scattered all across Hyrule as well are Korok Seeds. Korok Seeds can be used to expand weapon, resource, or shield inventory by 1 slot. Towns and cities serve as hotspots for fast travels and side quests. Players can obtain certain items to trade for clothing, armor, food, etc. Hikers, horse riders, and villagers can also be spotted wandering around these areas and can initiate a conversation if the player chooses so. Breath of the Wild themed amiibo also launched with the game as well, including a Link, a Zelda, a Guardian, and some others. In my humble opinion, amiibos in this game can change the difficulty. For example, players can obtain clothing items and food resources from certain amiibo, making the overall challenge of survival in Breath of the Wild somewhat easier if all the player has to do is scan a freaking $13 toy onto the left analog stick for 3 seconds. Apart from making Breath of the Wild somewhat easier if you're playing the single player campaign, some of the more recent amiibos look pretty bangin', especially the Guardian one because you can move the legs around, being able to make for some pretty crazy positions. Thank you all so very much for watching this week's video. This specific video took well over half a month to film and edit, so likes and subscriptions are highly appreciated. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Oh my... So I'm sure most of you watching know the channel 5 Minute Crafts, but if you don't, then let me explain. 5 Minute Crafts is basically a DIY craft channel, and it's super terrible. A bunch of YouTubers who have already given 5 Minute Crafts a chance, and well, it didn't go so well. I am still convinced that 5 Minute Crafts is the worst channel on YouTube. Welcome back to 2020, where if you're so stupid that you eat cereal with a spoon that's upside down, just bang it with a hammer backwards and you're all set. Alright, welcome back everybody to another commentary video. My name is the official MrCloud here. Welcome back to a brand new commentary video. I've never done a video on 5 Minute Crafts, as you've seen by the intro. 5 Minute Crafts is debatably, in my opinion, the worst channel on YouTube. The reasoning behind this is I've been seeing a bunch of YouTubers who have already proven 5 Minute Crafts wrong. They've already tried some of the DIY stuff, and it is debatably the worst channel on YouTube. So for today, I thought we'd go ahead and look at a couple of these DIY stuff and like see if they work. We might try a couple too, just to give you guys some extra content. So before we get into that, as always, be sure and subscribe to my channel down below. We just hit 315 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for all of the love and support. I really do appreciate everybody who watches all of my videos. I know you, and I know that all of you guys like all of my commentary stuff, so I'm always doing it, always making it. Yeah, without further ado, I guess we'll just take a look at some of these.
I can feel my body hold against the concrete, but I can't seem to get enough. My mind is fixed on what it wants. I just let you beat me. Looks can be deceiving. Let you get the best of me. In bed with my worst enemy. This is a no-go. I just can't take hold. This is a danger zone. Back up and get me home.
Okay, my first initial thought is, how did she get those eyes to stay on her face? Would you have to like tape them or something? Glue them to your eyes? What the hell? Like, I get accidentally falling asleep at work. I used to do that at school. I used to stay up until 4 o'clock in the morning watching Netflix. Why would you do that? But I'd say just don't stay up until 5 o'clock in the freaking morning. Like, what? My other question is, how did the boss not notice that? This is so ridiculous. I can't believe I'm doing this. Okay, so she's doing laundry with her shoes, and they were wet, so she puts them in the back of her car. What I would do is I would just put them back in the dryer and just do them again. That's what a normal person would do. Throw it back in the dryer and just turn it back on again. Again, this would only work if it was like 100 degrees outside. It wouldn't work if it was like below 20 degrees. Like... Okay, that was debatably one of the strangest sequences in events with two human beings that I have ever seen. So it looked like she was with one of her friends or her boyfriend or something, you know, trying to open a Coke bottle, you know, just trying to have a sip. And then she hands it to her guy friend, and he takes out a tape measure from his own damn pockets and just pops the thing off and then puts the tape measure back in his pocket. So again, my first question is, why did he randomly have a tape measure in his back pocket? I mean, why would you be sitting there and just have a tape measure? That's probably one of the most random things I have ever seen.
Okay, just to prove to you guys how stupid and idiotic that 5-Minute Crafts is, we're gonna go downstairs and I'm gonna show you guys something that just proved that wrong. So let's find ourselves some Nutella or something. All right, we got some maple syrup and we're gonna put it in the sink and see how this goes. All right, so we got our maple syrup here and we're gonna test it and just to prove that 5-Minute Crafts is the worst channel on YouTube, despite them having 67.1 million subscribers.
No, okay.
Oh yeah, okay. Ooh. Okay, next up we gotta get our spoon. I'll open it up, grab a spoon. Ugh, it doesn't work! It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Lies. Lies.
I knew better. Keep falling for your innocence, acting like you're into me. I know this is hopeless, moving in slow motion, trying to control my thoughts, but I can't stop our bodies on. This is a no-go. I just can't take hold. This is a danger zone.
Okay, so let me just get this one thing straight. When you blow up like a floaty thing, that usually takes a couple of minutes. That usually takes like 5 to 10 to 15 minutes. Also, my other question is why did she take that thing into the shower pretending like she was in a swimming pool? Okay. Oh, yeah.
This is so dumb.
Oh my god.
I mean, it marked the page.
I mean, you're right. It marked the page. So, 5-Minute Crafts. If you're watching this, you may not be so retarded after all. And the fun part is, if you're reading from that page and you just read a, you're all good. Just spread that in there. Look at that. Spread that in there. Okay, so we're here and we have our plastic spoon here. Are you ready to smash this thing?
Dumb. This is the worst one yet. It exploded.
Oh my god.
Well,
I guess we know that does not work now. 5-Minute Crafts has been proven wrong. Pants. Alright, we're gonna turn it off like while we put it on, so we're gonna go ahead and, so it's a 2-legged pants, as you can see, so you're gonna have to help me. Yeah. Alright, moment truth, 2-legged. It does not work, I can't even feel it. Yeah. It doesn't work, so 5-Minute Crafts has been proven wrong for the third and final time. And with that said, you guys have come to the end of the video. I just wanted to tell all of my viewers really quick that we are officially a quarter of the way to 400 subscribers. I just wanted to thank you guys so much for all of the support that I've been getting over the past couple of months. I really truly don't understand why I'm getting so many subscribers and so many people saying that they like all of my content. I really do appreciate all of the people who watch all of my videos. I'm just trying to make people smile here. And if you guys want to see more 5-Minute Craft stuff and me being a moron on the camera, then be sure to leave a like and comment what your favorite 5-Minute Craft stupid DIY idea in this video was. And I'll see you guys next week. Alright guys, what is going on? We are at the Nintendo New York store here, here, so we are gonna go ahead and kind of walk around, you know, kind of explore the place. So here, you know, I got all this stuff, you know, over here. We got, you know, so we're here, and I'm just gonna kind of look around, you know, kind of be like, yo, what's up? So we're here. We got, you know, we got the Mario Maker setup over there. You know, we have the iconic giant screen TV where they react to all of the Nintendo Directs and all that stuff. So you have the giant screen TV where they react to all of the Nintendo Directs and everything. Guys, and then if you go over here, you know you have all of your Zelda essentials. You know, have the t-shirts. You know, have the freaking Hyrule. These are they're pretty nice. The plushies and stuff. You know, got the vocab one. And you have the giant ones here. You know, have these things that cost like $25. You know, have your Triforce. You know. Always gotta have the Triforce. You have the Master Sword here that was at E3. As you all know, it was at E3. So loud. I need to like do this like this. And it was at E3, and this looks pretty sick. So that's epic. And then you have Master Shield, and then you have the Sheikah Slate plushie. You have hats and everything, you know, have the booklets and all that crap. So as you guys can see, they have like every single amiibo here. So they have, you know, got all the Mario Party ones, obviously. And then you go over here, got all of this Splatoon amiibo. You have Smash 4 and Ultimate. And you go over here a little more. They have some of the newer ones too. They have like Piranha Plant, Ice Climbers, that kind of jazz. And then they have third-party amiibo. On this side, they have also the giant Detective Pikachu one, which I think is pretty cool. Stopped at this Italian, like old school freaking Subway place in
Deli.
So it's like an old school deli. So we just stopped here, got some sandwiches, and I was gonna vlog while eating it, but we have to like move while eating it, so I can't really do that. So I'm just gonna like do a little sauce.
everyone. We are in the elevator of the M&M factory in New York City, Times Square, and we're going up to the 3rd floor, and we're going to be vlogging around. I'm going to show you guys it all. Let's go.